Hello and welcome once again to Info Corona. I'm Rajdeep Sardesai and you're watching our special show where we separate the news from the noise. Remember, the COVID-19 pandemic has infected around 3 million people worldwide, but it's also wiped out virtually a whole year's worth of live sport, a multi-billion-dollar industry. The question we are asking today is sports and watching sports ever going to be the same again in a world scarred by the COVID-19 pandemic? Let's take a look at how sporting events, big and small across the world, have been cancelled or rescheduled. The last time global sports witnessed such a widespread shutdown was during the Second World War, including the Olympics in 1940 and 1944. Take a look at our top story.
The entire world is reeling under the impact of coronavirus. Sports is no different, with events and tournaments either being suspended, postponed or cancelled. The Indian Premier League was among the first few big-ticket events that had to be put on the back burner. But with time, things have only gone from bad to worse. Globally, professional football and tennis have stopped.
Number 5 for the Serbian superstar.
European Championship have been postponed until 2021, and soon the decision came that the French Open has been suspended until September. Tokyo Olympics, which was originally scheduled to begin on July 24th, has also been put off by exactly 1 year. Among other big events, Augusta Masters, one of the major events in the golf calendar, was also put off. Wimbledon is the latest on the list, which has been cancelled for the first time since World War II. Meanwhile, in Italy, as the lockdown begins to lift, the Italian Prime Minister has given a go-ahead for professional sports teams to start training again in May. Though a date hasn't been decided for soccer's top-flight championship to resume, the Serie A sides have been allowed to return to individual training on 4th of May and team training on 18th of May. Formula One boss Chase Carey has also announced plans to resume the delayed 2020 season without spectators in Austria in July. Earlier in April, Taiwan swung into new baseball season with one team planning to place robot mannequins in their crowdless stands.
Being the only one, not just the earliest to open the season, I think we have a mission to bring the comfort or bring the excitement or just to bring to provide a way out for people out there, no matter you're watching from the States, in Europe or maybe in Australia. I think they are looking at us. I believe if they enjoy the game, that also helps the people, to go through this very tough time.
For the first time in 30 years, baseball games from Taiwan are being broadcast with English commentary and streamed online for free to audience abroad via social media. Amid all this, unable to attend live events or watch them in social settings like bars and pubs, the sports fans are becoming increasingly frustrated during the lockdown. And there are out-of-the-box thinkers who have moved in to fill the gap, to provide a virtual motor racing but with top star drivers.
Incredibly popular. There are hundreds of thousands of people tuning in to watch these broadcasts, be it on Twitch, on YouTube. And when you get the backing of a real motorsport series, the numbers go through the roof. So what I do hope is that when we do return to normality, the big businesses, sponsors, broadcasters, motorsport series themselves will think, there's something to be done here in the world of esports.
So the world of international sport will never be the same. But what about India? In India, much like the rest of the world, big-ticket events in cricket, other sports, all postponed indefinitely or cancelled, including the money-spinning IPL. Take a look.
And of course, Dhoni. Of course.
The much-awaited annual summer cricket event, the Indian Premier League, has been suspended indefinitely. The IPL was scheduled to start on March 29th, but due to the outbreak of coronavirus, it had to be suspended till April 15th. With the entire country in an extended lockdown, in a bid to curb the spread of the coronavirus and with all travel grounded, the BCCI was left with little option but to take the call.
The safety is most important to the players in the current situation. With what's going around in the world and in India with the government directives, this is all we can do. We even postponed the remaining domestic matches.
But the BCCI has still not thrown in the towel on the cash-rich event. The board says that it will continue to monitor the situation regarding a potential start of the IPL later this year, but that will depend on when the fight against COVID-19 is over.
Amid all these postponements and cancellations, the IPL may possibly be looking at a window during September-October when the subcontinent nations are scheduled to play the Asia Cup, while another window of opportunity could be October-November, but that would mean that T20 World Cup is not going to happen, at least this year.
But there might be a ray of hope for cricket fans. Another big-ticket cricket event that many feared would be pushed back was the upcoming India tour of Australia. But sources from Down Under suggest the tournament might take place.
Sources in the Australian cricket establishment tell me that Cricket Australia has made a special request to the Prime Minister Scott Morrison and have also received a favourable response. They have asked for special exemptions be made for the India tour of Australia later on in the year. They have said that Cricket Australia stands to lose $350 to $400 million if the tour is cancelled overall, and that will perhaps bring Cricket Australia activities to a standstill. And the Prime Minister has been receptive. So even if the tour is played in empty stadiums, which is the most likely possibility, because of broadcast rights and sale of broadcast rights, Cricket Australia stands to make $300 million. That will save the Australian cricket establishment, is what I'm getting from Cricket Australia sources.
Cricket isn't the only sports to have suffered. The All India Tennis Association has announced the cancellation of all domestic tennis tournaments for the next 2 months due to coronavirus outbreak. The All India Football Federation suspended tournaments at all levels till further notice. These include I-League football matches. In badminton, with the World Federation suspending all tournaments, big-ticket events like the India Open scheduled for late March were cancelled. A day before the Indian athletics season was to begin in Punjab, the Indian Grand Prix was called off. With events being postponed indefinitely, the question is, what will be the long-term impact of the virus pandemic on the world of sports?
She's done it.
Will contact sports, where social distancing is not really an option, be put on hold? Will domestic sportspersons take a financial hit? And how long before fans rush back to the stadiums?
Celebration of the night, without a doubt.
And let's go to someone who's a legend of Indian sport. Joining me now is cricket legend Sunil Gavaskar. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Gavaskar. It looks like life in the lockdown seems to be treating you rather well. First time I'm seeing you growing a beard, a rather nice white beard there.
Yes, I've actually had a little bit of a goatee for a little short time, but not a full beard like I have at the moment. So yes, this is a new, completely new feeling. But this is sheer laziness, nothing else.
Sheer laziness, you mean you don't have time to shave? I thought this was finally a time you've had after all these years of traveling across the world to rest your body and soul. This must be the longest you've ever been at home.
You can say that. Really has been very, very nice to be able to have your own timetable. Most of the time, your timetable is dictated by the requirements of television broadcast. So it really has been nice to be able to do things, at a leisurely pace, not putting any pressure on yourself. It really has been fantastic.
Let's come, Mr. Gavaskar, to the question that haunts many people now in the world. What COVID-19 has done has meant no sport, no live sport possibly for this entire year. No IPL. There is a question mark over the World T20 at the end of the year. Are you worried about the future of live sports as one event after the other gets cancelled?
Certainly, yes. The way things are going, you're absolutely right that we might actually not see any live sport for maybe 4 months, 5 months. And that is going to be tough, not just on the players, the current players, but also those who follow sport. there are so many fans of sports, different sports, and for them to be able to only look at the old action, after a time it gets, boring. You can go back and see, for nostalgia, you can go back and see what happened, earlier on. But you actually want to see live sport, be it on television or at the ground. And so with that not likely to take place maybe till September, it certainly is a worrying thing. And I'm pretty certain that the officials of all the sports are aware of this and are certainly planning, plan B, plan C or something like that to get over this, period of uncertainty.
One of those plan Bs or Cs, Mr. Gavaskar, being mentioned is playing in front of empty stadiums. Do you really believe it's possible to have a Wimbledon without crowds, the EPL without crowds, the IPL without crowds? Aren't crowds an essential part of the entire sporting experience?
I think that's got to be absolutely the last resort. Otherwise, when you absolutely cannot have anybody at the ground or in the stands, that's the only time you should look to play without crowds. But every performer likes to perform in front of a crowd which appreciates his skills, his temperament, and it's not necessarily sport. You want to go to theater, you want people to sit there and appreciate your skills. So yes, I think that's not going to be easy on the performers for sure. On the players when they play a good shot, they want to see the applause from the crowd. Or when the bowlers, they take a wicket, they want to be able to not just, get the claps from the crowd, but they also want to do the high fives, the hugs, or whatever. Now, all those things are not going to be possible for quite some time.
Do you have a solution? Is there a Gavaskar solution to get us out of this predicament, a solution that you've been thinking about in all the free time that you've had?
Well, I think the only solution at the moment that I can think of is a vaccine being discovered very, very quickly. And if that happens, maybe we might be able to get some fans in the stands maybe by the end of the year. We're still about 7 months away, so it is still possible to get fans by the end of the year, maybe even a little bit earlier if a vaccine is found earlier. But that's the only thing that I can think of at the moment, because you don't even know who does not have the COVID-19. You could be sitting next to somebody watching there, and he could still be maybe about 10 feet away from you.
Sure.
But something can still be transferred. So people are going to be a little bit careful about that as well. Even if you go to the ground and you're sitting at a fair distance,
sure,
you won't have the sense of comfort that you would feel unless, you were certain that, you're safe.
But, you're talking, Mr. Gavaskar, about a multi-billion-dollar industry. Do you think the industry itself will have to work out a solution to keep the show going? The show must go on.
Yes, they'll have to. And that's what I meant by saying that the officials of all the various sporting federations would certainly be scratching their heads and, banging their heads together to try and get a solution. And I'm sure, there are so many intelligent people in that they will be able to come up with some sort of a solution which will sort of have everybody happy, most of the people happy. But how that's going to happen is going to be quite interesting. It's not going to be easy.
How have you kept yourself busy in these times? For a sports person who's used to a lot of activity, what keeps you busy, cooped up at home at the moment?
Well, basically, I've been taking it easy. I've been waking up late, catching up on a bit of reading. Then in the evenings, I go for a walk on my terrace. And I can tell you that, you'll be surprised that I've almost come down to my debut series weight. I'm just 0.03 kilos more than what my weight was way back when I made my debut. So also the fact that, because of the restrictions, your diet is also restricted. That's also helped, not just the walks and jogs that I'm doing on my terrace. But that really is it. Watch a bit of maybe TV serials or something like that. In the evenings, and that has kept me busy. And I'm actually quite enjoying it. I'm actually not feeling out of sorts with this. I'm actually pretty happy just to be staying at home and not venturing out.
So you're basically telling me you're enjoying living life in the slow lane after all those years of hectic travel, is it?
It is. In the ultra slow lane, if I might say that. As I said, I'm quite happy. I'd be very happy if my entire family was here with me, but that's not the case. So thankfully, again, with all these new contraptions that have come through, you can actually see each other and talk to each other. So that's been a big plus as well.
And I know a lot of sporting celebrities are putting in a lot of money into funds. You yourself, from Twitter, I've realized, have donated money to the Prime Minister Care and Chief Minister Relief Fund, an amount equaling the number of centuries you scored in tests and first-class cricket.
That is correct. I got 3,500s for India in tests and one-day internationals. So I gave that to the Prime Minister's Cares Fund. And because I got 24 for Mumbai, Ranji Trophy, Rani Trophy, Wills Trophy, I gave the same amount to the Maharashtra Chief Minister's Relief Fund. But that's nothing. That's nothing. There are people who have given much more. And if both the governments want me to do anything more, I'd be only too happy to do that, because I am what I am only because of India.
One final message to sports fans like me who are really missing Wimbledon, IPL, the whole idea, EPL, the whole idea of live sport. What's the message to all of us?
Well, I would say that not just look back at some of the old games, maybe try and look at maybe even the origins of all the sports, and go back as much as that, and then maybe look as to how every sport that you follow, you can make it a better sport in terms of maybe the playing conditions or the rules that can actually make it even more interesting, even more enlightening. And I think if you can do that, then that will be a big help, because look, we can do with new ideas all the time. As long as the basics of sport remain the same, of every sport remains the same, any new ideas will only mean that you'll be getting newer audiences and newer people to watch, and that's only good for the health of the sport.
Good. Maybe that's a nice positive note to end on. Maybe sports also needs to reinvent like so many other sectors in the world. But Mr. Gavaskar, stay well. Nice to see you with that lovely white beard, and go well in life as always. Thank you very much for joining me here.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.